Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 5 of Paramount Plus's 1923, entitled The Ghost of Zebina. This episode title refers to a story that we hear in this episode about this ghost ship called Zebina. Unlike what I thought it was going to be when the story started, it is not a literal ghost ship. It's just a terminology for ships that have been abandoned, and apparently these ships don't sink or anything like that, at least not for a really long time. So you can have like a ship that's just out there floating in the middle of the sea, like it's just an obstacle that you got to get around, that's not manned or anything like that. So that's the reason behind the episode title, which I thought was a pretty interesting story. I want to talk about, with this show and with this episode, what the issue that I'm having with the many issues I'm having with the Spencer Alex storyline. So the Spencer Alex stuff has become prominent now, I think. I think Spencer and Alex are now like the A plot. I think and let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I felt like the season up to this point, what was happening with the Duttons was the A plot and Spencer was the B plot. Now, at like this episode, Spencer and Alex very much felt like the A plot. And I think my issue right now is I feel like I don't know where the Spencer Alex story is going. And when I say that, I mean, obviously we know that the idea is they're supposed to get back there and help the Duttons with the ranch. Let's say, this is episode 5. Let's say episode 8. Spencer and Alex are in Montana and they're working on whatever plan they're working on to help save this ranch. What significance is all of the time that we spent with Spencer and Alex to this point? What is that going to, like, what are we gonna look back and feel like that had value? Like, so what I mean is, if Spencer's story is going to be his part in the saving of the Dutton Ranch, what was the point of, like, okay, so we know that he wants to come over to America right now. There's a whole sequence where he like tries to get a ticket legitimately and it doesn't work out. And like, there's been a lot of times where I feel like they've just been like delaying, doing anything with the Spencer storyline, because I don't know how, like, the time that we spent with him killing animals in Africa, what that's gonna matter in future story. Like we know at worst, so like, am I gonna look at it as like, oh, he's great at killing lions in Africa, so he must be good at herding cows? Like, or is it gonna be a thing where it's gonna be like, he's like, I don't know how to be a cowboy because all I've been doing is shooting animals in Africa. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I feel like, and I could be wrong, very much so, but this is how I feel. I feel like that storyline is being dragged out in kind of the same way that Daenerys' storyline was dragged out on Game of Thrones. How it was like, we knew she wanted to go to Westeros, but they dragged out her going to Westeros over the course of like 5 seasons or some shit, like 5 or 6 seasons. where it just kind of felt like Daenerys was just kind of going in place, and they just gave her storylines within these cities, but she never really met, like they completely abandoned the move toward Westeros. And it's starting to make me wonder, like, are they maybe doing that same thing here where, like, Spencer's never actually going to make it to America? Or, like, I don't know why they're taking so long getting him there and inserting scenes like, let me buy a ticket. You can't. All right, fuck it. Let me find another way. Like, could we have bypassed that? Like, I'm just a big person where I'm like, I need to feel like a scene matters. Every single one needs to matter. Like, if I watch that scene, or like your story completes and I go back and I'm like, why was that there? Why was it there? Like, I'm like, so like, why would it be there? And like, in retrospect, I keep looking back at a lot of these Spencer and Alex scenes, wondering why they were there. Another example. How many scenes have we seen between Spencer and Alex that exist solely to let us know how much they love each other? I would wager fucking damn near all of them. Like, there are very few scenes between Spencer and Alex that exist for any reason other than to let us know that they love each other. And that is an important thing, but we don't need to spread out evidence that they love each other over the course of like 4 episodes with very little progress in their storyline. So that's what's kind of fucking with me, is like, I already understand that they love each other despite any logical reason for that man to love that woman. I already understand that they love each other. I don't need a whole lot more examples. And I feel like they do that a lot too. So all I'm saying is, I feel like this show needs to pick up the pace. There's a lot of shit that's been dragging out. I really feel like the Spencer and Alex stuff is dragging out. And again, I could be wrong. Like, whenever they get to America, or if they don't get to America, whatever the case may be, whatever is the, I guess, like, climax of their storyline, maybe I'll look back at it and be like, oh, well, all that shit from the previous episodes made sense. But right now, not made sense, but was valuable. Right now, I kind of feel like what's likely to happen is they're gonna get to like the meat of the Spencer Alex storyline, what their like actual purpose is in this story. Because right now that has not been laid out. We're like through 5 episodes, we don't know their point at all. Like, we know that they're supposed to be going to Montana, that's it. But we've seen 5 or 6 episodes of these two people, 5 episodes of these two people, and I don't know what their point is yet. So like, I don't know. I feel like we need to get somewhere with their storyline, and I feel like when we get there, I'm concerned. I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna be like, did I need all of them episodes, all of them scenes in Africa? Did I need all of them scenes of hey, guess what? They're saying romantic things to each other again. That look, just so in case you forgot, they really love each other. Did I need all that? I'm gonna feel like I didn't. Now, if they kill off Alex and they want me to believe that Spencer's really sad about it, even though I don't see why he would be, but you got me. Okay, you've convinced me that character loves the other character. Should that character love that character? I don't think so, but you've convinced me that that's the case, so fine. I'll stop my little rant there. But I do think this episode was still pretty entertaining. I do think, like I said, I feel like it needs to pick up the pace. This show does not move at the pace that 1883 did, but it has its moments. So the opening sequence, I think, is meant to showcase, like a montage, and I think it's meant to showcase how hard of a time the Duttons are having surviving all of this. And this sequence essentially ends with Emma killing, well, it doesn't essentially, it does end with Emma killing herself. And I think we are to now understand that the Duttons are kind of like on their last leg. Like, there's not a lot left. Like, almost everyone's dead now, aside from, I think it really is just like Jack, Kara, Jake. Is that it? Oh, and what's her, Elizabeth? That's it, right? Like, those are the only, that's it. Everyone else is dead, right? So they really need Spencer to show up. But, you know, I think we're meant to understand right now that, like, and I think this is what they're building toward, that they are this close to losing this ranch, and Spencer's going to come in and somehow save the day at some point. The Tiana scenes we have this week, I don't think, we didn't see Tiana in episode 4. We see her again this week, and I just want to say, like, it seems like every time I watch this show, I'm like floored by one of these establishing landscape shots that they do. And they do a great one with like these rocks or whatever, these mountains where Tiona's at. It's fucking beautiful. Like, where is this place? Like, I can't, like, this show, 1883, Yellowstone, the establishing landscape shots are always just breathtaking. And I love them here as well. We see Tiana had to, like, I don't know, I would say take the high rock to avoid some wolves that pop up. And a guy shows up in the morning, He says he knows her dad. He hides his sheep up there because when the government comes through, they kill off all our sheep or they take them or whatever. So I come up here to hide my sheep from the government. And she relays to him hesitantly what happened, the whole thing with killing Sister Mary, all this kind of stuff. And I like how the guy essentially was like, she probably had it coming. I was like, okay, I like this guy because she did have it coming. But after Spencer was unable to get a ticket on a boat to America successfully, what he ends up doing is he essentially agrees to be like help on like this weird like tugboat with this guy who clearly looks like he's about to die in like 42 minutes. He's like coughing up like significant amounts of blood onto this napkin, but they got to do whatever they got to do to get to America. He tries to ditch Alex unsuccessfully before making this move because he looked at it like, okay, it's not going to be safe for her on this boat with this guy who's coughing up AIDS everywhere. I'm going to leave. I got to ditch Alex again. I'm doing it for her own good. I love her so much, but I just have to do this to protect her. He tries to ditch Alex again, and she just... It's interesting how every time Alex is saying something to Spencer that's meant to convince him that she needs to be around, everything she says to me sounds like reasons to not have someone around. Like, I always think that's wild. Like, Alex always sells herself in a way that makes me dislike her more. I hate this character, man. I really do. So they send a message to Kara via like the captain of a different ship, basically to let her know that they're on the way. Kara does end up getting that message. We've seen her. They've already established that she goes to like this I will call it their post office. You have to like travel there on horseback, but she goes there, I assume daily, to look for a response from Spencer about whether or not he's coming. She does get that response when she heads there in this episode. But after they send the message to Kara, there's a scene where that actually kind of is a good example of what I said of when Alex is trying to like sell herself as a valuable member of this team. She always says a lot of shit that makes me think the opposite of her. And like they're back on I think they were like in a carriage or whatever. And no, it wasn't a carriage, but they were like horseback on like what's the carriage with like the thing where they sit on the outside? I don't fucking know the terminology of these things, man. This is 2023. What I look like? I was born in 1982, not 1882. They have a conversation, and Alice talks about how Spencer doesn't talk enough, so she talks more to overcompensate. And then like she makes it like sound like a cute flex, like, I'm so cute, like I overtalk and I'm super annoying, and that's why you have to have me around all the time. I'm like, you just described yourself as like aggressively annoying, like I overtalk. So like the less you talk, the more I'm gonna talk, and I already talk a lot. And but like she says it in a way where like it's presented as if this is like an endearing personality trait. I'm like, you sound like an obnoxious and annoying person. Why would I want you around? And like they play it like that's cute. And like me and the writers of this show have an entirely different idea of what a cute or adorable woman would behave like. She sounds like an obnoxious, annoying, petulant child. Like like I can't even watch them like make out or have a sex scene because it's like he's fucking like a 12-year-old or some shit. Like she has the maturity and the mind of a child, not a teenager, a child. Like I do not understand why. Like I seriously question people who think that this is like a good character, like this is a good character in a healthy relationship. It feels very much like a grown ass man who is tolerating and having sex with an incredibly annoying child. I don't understand how you guys, I don't understand how anybody can tolerate this character. I really don't. Why did they make her sound like talking too goddamn much is an endearing quality? I don't understand that. She even was doing it annoyingly when she was explaining it. Like you're explaining how you are annoyingly, but the show is trying to make me think she's cute. And I'm just like, I don't get it. We have different desires in women, me and Taylor Sheridan. But yeah, that was just that. I mean, that alone was a conversation. That was what I was saying. It was another conversation that existed only to let us know that they love each other. Did you guys not know that yet prior to that conversation? Because if you did know that already, if you know that those two characters love each other prior to that conversation, why did we have that conversation? What did I say about I feel like every scene needs to matter? What did that scene tell you that you did not already know? What did you not understand that those two loved each other? You did. So why do we need that scene? That's all I'm gonna say. So Bron, I'm gonna call him Bron. I know his name. Banner, because it's like the Hulk. Banner and Timothy Dalton's character, I don't know his name, have a conversation that I think makes this show, and this is another point I want to make, and I'm going to actually kind of like close with this point. Side note, I think it's interesting that an episode of 1923 can be an hour long, but I'll come on here and get on camera to talk to you guys about it, and my videos will be shorter than the rest of my videos. And I think, again, this is an example of the pacing of this show. Very little happens. They spend a lot of time on the scenery. They spend a lot of time in like living in moments, which is fine. But again, same example with the conversation about her talking too much. Did we need that scene? We spent a lot of time there. But the last point I want to make, I want to compare this to Yellowstone in that I feel like this show is starting to take up a lot of the traits of Yellowstone that make the bad stuff about Yellowstone. The things that are clues to me that Yellowstone has fallen off the Yellowstone template of their stories, the formulaic, tropey nature of the stories and of the characters, and how they're all very predictable, very formulaic. This show is starting to take on some of those traits. Like, for example, Bron and Timothy Dalton here have the original conversation that we've seen 8 million times on Yellowstone. How is the rich man gonna take the Dutton property? Like, oh, let's have the conversation that I want that land. I'm rich and I deserve that land, and I'm gonna take that land from those poor hillbillies. Every season on Yellowstone, multiple times, and they have the first of those conversations on one of the non-Yellowstone shows right here, which I didn't particularly mind at the time. I thought it was entertaining how he was dazzling Bron with like electricity and running water. I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't mind it that much that we got that conversation here. What I do kind of mind is this happens in concert with another scene where Jack and Elizabeth talk about their time on the ranch. Elizabeth talks about, she says something like Jack has revenge in his heart, and if there's revenge in his heart, there's no room for love. She basically talks about she hates the ranch. She says she sees the ranch as a prison. What does that remind you of? Does that not remind you of Monica and Casey on Yellowstone? Doesn't it? So I'm like, now I'm starting to feel like, okay, now you're taking things from Yellowstone that are not Yellowstone's best moments. Like, Casey is like the Alex of Yellowstone. Like, I don't like, anytime Casey shows up on Yellowstone, I immediately like am ready for a nap. Casey's never been interesting on Yellowstone, ever. So now they're like, now they're making Jack and Elizabeth's story kind of, have parallels with Monica and Casey's story. And I get the idea. It's like, oh, we want to show that these characters had these same kind of dynamics and these same sort of relationships in 1923 as they have in 2023. Like, that this is family. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I get it. But these are like tropey things that Yellowstone is doing that Yellowstone needs to stop doing. So I won't say tropey, but like they're just kind of things that Yellowstone is doing that let me know that Yellowstone is running out of ideas. So if the first season of your show is doing things that your other show that is on its 5th season is doing, that lets me know that show's out of ideas, and you doing it in season 1, kind of a problem. But again, we're only 5 episodes into this show. I think they want to do 2 seasons of it, so I want to give it a chance to, I feel like it has moved slow, but we are only 5 episodes in. If it's a 10-episode season, there's still a lot of story to tell. So I could end up eating these words, but being able to draw parallels between the Jack and Elizabeth story and then also Banner and Timothy Dalton's character having the original, like, I'm the rich man who wants the land and I'm going to help, I'm going to, in this case, he's going to have the poor man help him. But it's still very much the same thing, that the same idea, that the same story arc that they bring to every season of Yellowstone. They're now starting that here. It's troubling to me to see a show in, midway through its first season, picking up some of the attributes of a show that I feel is very clearly jumped the shark, and it's doing the same things that I use as indications that that show has jumped the shark. It's doing those same things in season 1 of this show, which is concerning for me. But the episode ends with the old man who was coughing up all the blood, who I said had 42 minutes to live. Predictably, he ends up dying. And they run into the ghost ship, and the episode ends with Kara at the same time as Kara is this, well, not at the same time, but for us, the viewer, at the same time as Kara is learning about Spencer's letter and that he's returning, we see their boat capsized. There was a scene earlier in the episode where there was something having to do with rope, and then we have the episode titles called The Ghost of Zebina, so I'm kind of assuming they're going to use rope to maybe like climb onto that boat to save themselves. Like maybe they're already on that boat, and the capsized tugboat is just, it's just there to fake us out. I mean, I don't think any of us are entertaining the idea that Spencer and Alex are dead. So again, that's kind of a waste. I didn't sit there like, oh my God, they're dead. Like, I don't think any of you did. So I don't want to say what was the point, but I feel like the purpose of that shot, the ending the episode with the capsized boat, was to get a reaction out of us like, oh shit. It didn't, because I'm not expecting Spencer and Alex to die. So I'm not, at least not now. So I just like, okay, well, I guess they got on the fucking ghost boat that they ran into. Whatever. One last thing before I wrap this one up. I don't know if I liked it. I want to know what you guys thought about it. What did you guys think about the scene where we see Jake trying to go up the stairs and he's having a really hard time? And Kara comes around the corner, she sees him, and she hesitates, she watches him. I thought it was predictable that she wasn't going to help him. I even thought it would make sense for that character to possibly have the approach of, he needs to do this on his own. But then I feel like it makes sense for people of that character, these cowboys who work on this ranch, who like their whole lives kind of revolve around being tough. Makes sense for those characters. But does it make sense for those characters when they're 80? Like, and just got shot? Like, I kind of feel like at that point, you don't make him tough it out on his own. Like, he might legit die. So it's like, I get it, but I kind of feel like he's 80 and he got shot. Maybe help him. But at the same time, if he wanted help, he would have asked for it. Actually, no, he wouldn't. Harrison Ford would never ask for help. But I think she knows that he doesn't want help. Like, if she tried to go help him, he definitely would have shooed her away. That makes sense for him. That for Jake, the character. That makes sense for Harrison Ford. I don't think for 1 second he would have allowed help. But I do question her not trying. I buy that she would go, I'm not going to try this because I know he doesn't want it. I don't buy and I don't know if this is what they're going for, but I don't buy the idea of, I gotta let him do this on his own. I buy that if he's less than 80 and unridden with bullets. Then I buy it. If you're 80 and bullet ridden, I don't buy he's gotta do this on his own. So that's how I'm gonna end this one. I will see you guys next week to talk about episode 6, and until then, peace.